Dawn breaks at the site of the Nova Music Festival in Israel near the Gaza border. Now a grim memorial. 2 years ago, this was a scene of terror where Hamas massacred hundreds of festival goers and took many others hostage. Hamas is still holding around 48 Israeli hostages. 20 of them are believed to still be alive. Commemorations are also being held in Australia.
While we will never forget nor forgive what Hamas did on this day 2 years ago and what it continues to do, we live in hope that the hostages will soon be free, that the anguish of the families will soon end, and they can all begin to heal.
This exhibition in Collingwood remembers those killed.
Dorora Kaplun, 68, of kibbutz Be'eri. He was murdered on October 7.
Biggest massacre since Holocaust on a single day. It hurt. It brought out the wounds for the Jewish community.
The events were also remembered in federal parliament.
Over 1,200 lives taken without mercy. We remember Australian Dalia Cusnir, who was tragically among them.
October 7 was a brutal reminder of the depths of human cruelty and of the evil that flourishes when hatred is armed.
Peace negotiations have resumed in Egypt, hoping to bring the hostages home and end the war, that according to health authorities in Gaza has claimed more than 67,000 lives.
We have a really good chance of making a deal, and it'll be a lasting deal.
Dalia Cusnir's brothers-in-law, Yair and Eitan Horn, were kidnapped from a kibbutz 2 years ago today. Yair was released in February. Eitan, who suffers from a severe skin condition, is still being held hostage. Dalia Cusnir joined me earlier. Dalia Cusnir, welcome.
Thank you.
You live with two realities at the same time, with the relief, although muted, after the release of Yair, but also the terror for Eitan, who remains a hostage. What is the last information you had about Eitan?
We know Eitan is alive. It's according to the army and the intelligence and everything. And the last really information that we have is from February 15th, when Yair was released and they were held together in the tunnels in Gaza. So he told us, with details. I want to say unfortunately, because once you hear those details, you can't sleep for a long while. But we know about his condition.
What did Yair tell you about those conditions?
He told us that they were held in the tunnels since day one. That means that for the past 2 years, Eitan hadn't seen the sunlight. Just imagine that. Just imagine how it affects on all your body, not only physical, but also emotional. He said that the tunnels are very narrow and very small, so they're just like sitting in dark places. Most of the time, they're in darkness. He said that they get very, very small food, not even every day. I think the thing that bothered him the most was the lack of water. He said that they would get about half a cup of water a day, not every day, but the fact that it was not drinkable water, it was salty and dirty water. So you don't want to really drink it, but you understand that that's the only way that you can survive. He talked about the starvation and the physical torture, but he talks a lot about the mental torture, the fact that they know that every minute they can get killed. Those terrorists are holding them at gunpoint. They're eating in front of them. All the food, he said that all the food you can imagine is down there at the tunnels. And they're drinking and they're laughing at them and making them do ridiculous things. And just the fact that you're sitting there with the gun pointed at you and you don't know if you'll survive this or not. And another thing he mentioned, because, you know, he's looking at the news all the time, and there were conversations about hostage deals in the past and ceasefire and stuff. And he says, you have no clue how much weapons they have down there. He talks about down there. He's not saying tunnels. He's saying that it's kind of an underground city. And it's filled with weapons and missiles and rockets and whatever you can imagine. And they have fuel down there, and everything is trapped. So he knows, and he told us that if an Israeli soldier just comes by, they'll destroy and explode everything, and everything will die.
Dalia, why was one of your brothers-in-law released and not both of them at the same time? That must have been especially cruel for him, for them, and for you.
That's a very good question, which I don't know how to answer, because those who were released on that first part of the deal that was supposed to transform into a second and a third phase were supposed to be the humanitarian cases. It was a list of 33 names. And from what we understand, and all the doctors told us, so actually Eitan's disease is more severe than Yair. So I don't know. I'll start by saying that everyone is humanitarian, because it's not humane to be held 2 years in a dark tunnel by terrorists, the same terrorists that committed the atrocity of October 7th. And it's not humane to hold bodies of deceased hostages and to use them, you know, as a political game and as a, you know, tool to gain things.
And now, after his release, how is Yair?
Yair keeps saying that he's still hostage in Gaza, that we just see his body walking around Israel, but his mind, his soul, his entire, you know, him is not here with us. He's with his brother, his little brother, you know. Imagine, I don't know if you have siblings, but he's the older brother and Eitan is the youngest, and he left him and he feels guilt. He feels the survivor guilt that we learned about 80 years ago after, you know, the Second World War and the Holocaust. And every morning, if he makes coffee, he looks at the coffee and then he spills it because he cannot have it. And when we sit down to eat, he looks at the food and says, how can I have food and, you know, clean water while they're starving over there? And as we speak now, Yair and other survivors are in Washington, D.C. They flew there 2 days ago in what we hope would be the last effort, you know, to make this agreement happen. But we won't stop and they won't stop. And they haven't gone through rehab and taken care of themselves, because they just need everyone to be back home first.
Let me ask you about that. We know that there are negotiations now taking place in Egypt. Do you have any contact? Does the Israeli government give you any information about what's happening, what's going to happen, or do you just have to wait by your phone?
So yeah, we're waiting. We got messages before the delegation left to Egypt, kind of this motivation message saying we're going there with one clear mission and we'll do everything we can to bring them back home. But since the negotiation, since the conversation started, I believe it was yesterday at 4 p.m., we don't know anything. We do know that this time Prime Minister Netanyahu had said yes, and he's all in, and his government and everyone is all in. And we do know that we need all the prime ministers and presidents and everyone around the world to put all the pressure on Hamas to stop their lies and to stop their campaigns. And once and for all, you know, to sign this and to release the hostages within the 72 hours that it says on the agreement. And this will enable to end the war. And once Hamas is out of Gaza, it will also allow the Gazati people, you know, to start a new tomorrow and to start going through construction and rehabilitation and maybe being able all together to dream of a better tomorrow here in the region, because this is what we want. The people of Israel want the hostages back and the end of the war.
Dalia, thank you for speaking to us today, and we all hope for the same thing as you do, and the return of your family member and all the other hostages. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.